In the summer of 1990, three sisters, Clara, Ellen, and Sophie Sullivan, working as flight attendants for a major airline, disappeared during a layover in Arizona. For nearly 2 decades, their case remained a haunting mystery, a wound that refused to heal for their family and the close-knit aviation world. The only trace, a weathered suitcase containing their neatly pressed uniforms, wasn't found until 2009, uncovered by shifting sands near the edge of Tucson. That suitcase became the key to unraveling a story that gripped the nation, rekindled hope, and ultimately brought a fractured family back together. For the Sullivan family, life was divided into 2 eras, before the sisters vanished and after. Growing up in Flagstaff, Clara, Ellen, and Sophie were inseparable, sharing clothes, secrets, and dreams of exploring the world. Becoming flight attendants for the same airline wasn't planned. It was a happy coincidence, as if the skies themselves had called them together. In July 1990, Clara, the eldest at 28, and her younger sisters, Ellen and Sophie, both 25, planned a weekend getaway in Tucson to celebrate Clara's recent promotion. It was meant to be a brief escape before a grueling season of transcontinental flights. They checked into a small motel near the airport, sent postcards to their parents, and called home to chat about their plans. On Friday evening, they were spotted at a local diner, their navy blue uniforms draped over their chairs, laughing over milkshakes. But when they didn't report for their flights on Monday, panic set in. The airline alerted the police, who found their motel room untouched, luggage packed, tickets on the dresser, no signs of a struggle. Their rental car sat idle in the lot. Searches spanned weeks, then months, but no leads emerged. The Sullivan sisters became another name in Arizona's missing persons files, their story swallowed by the desert. 19 years later, in 2009, a hiker in the Sonoran Desert stumbled across a cracked, sun-bleached suitcase half buried in the sand. The airline's faded logo was barely legible, the zipper rusted shut. Inside were 3 folded uniforms, name badges, and a few personal items: a silver bracelet, a stack of postcards, and a small vial of lavender perfume. News of the find exploded across media outlets, reigniting the case. For the Sullivan family, it was a jolt of hope and dread. Could this be the first clue to what happened to Clara, Ellen, and Sophie? In Flagstaff, their parents, now elderly, watched the news from their modest porch, hearts racing. Detectives confirmed the items belonged to the sisters: Clara's bracelet, engraved with her initials; Ellen's perfume, a gift from her mother; Sophie's badge, slightly bent from years of wear. The investigation roared back to life. Police cordoned off the desert site, drones scanned the terrain, and volunteers combed the dunes for more evidence. The nation watched, captivated by the mystery. Why were the sisters' belongings buried so far from Tucson? How had they remained hidden for so long? And most pressingly, could the sisters still be alive? The suitcase offered more questions than answers. Forensic analysis revealed sand unique to a remote stretch of the Sonoran Desert, far from where the sisters were last seen. Weather records from 1990 showed a fierce dust storm that weekend, strong enough to bury the suitcase until the sands shifted years later. Investigators retraced the sisters' steps, interviewing aging witnesses who recalled 3 young women at a Tucson gas station, buying snacks and postcards. The sisters' brother, Daniel, returned to Arizona, walking the old motel grounds, determined to uncover anything overlooked. A breakthrough came when Sophie's journal was found tucked inside the suitcase. Its final entries, written the night before their disappearance, described a fun evening at the motel pool but hinted at unease, a stranger lingering nearby, an odd feeling of being watched. The police set up a tip line, and calls flooded in, sightings, rumors, and vague memories. A waitress in a nearby town recalled serving 3 women who seemed nervous, glancing at the door, accompanied by a man she didn't recognize. Detectives chased the lead, scouring old receipts and grainy security footage. The investigation grew into a national obsession. Social media buzzed with theories, and a podcast series dissected every detail. The Sullivan family clung to hope, displaying the sisters' photos on their mantle, candles burning beside them. Daniel pored over police reports, while their parents, Mary and John, waited for every update. Forensic teams analyzed the suitcase's contents, finding traces of desert minerals and faint fabric fibers that suggested prolonged exposure. Each clue felt like a step closer to answers. Then, a new discovery: a faded luggage tag, found near the suitcase, bearing Ellen's name. It led police to an abandoned service road, where search dogs and radar scanned for more evidence. The Sullivan family's hope flickered brighter, but the absence of the sisters themselves kept despair at bay. The media speculated wildly. Had the sisters been abducted, or had they chosen to disappear? The journal's cryptic notes fueled theories of danger, perhaps tied to their airline work. One evening in 2010, the Sullivan family's phone rang. Mary answered, her heart stopping at the sound of Clara's voice. "Mom, it's me. We're safe. We're together." Tears streaming, Mary begged for details, but Clara's voice was cautious. "We can't come home yet. It's not safe. But we love you." The call ended abruptly. The FBI traced it to a payphone in a small desert town near Yuma, but by the time agents arrived, the sisters were gone, leaving only a note, "We're okay. Keep believing." The discovery electrified the family. Mary and Daniel appeared on TV, pleading for the sisters to come home. Tips poured in. A librarian near Phoenix recalled 3 women borrowing travel guides. A truck driver remembered giving 2 sisters a ride toward Nevada. Each clue painted a picture of the Sullivans on the move, always together, always cautious. Investigators theorized they were hiding from someone, a disgruntled coworker, a dangerous passenger, or something more sinister. The investigation shifted to a remote canyon where another suitcase was found, this one containing faded photos, airline tickets, and a map marked with desert locations. A rusted lockbox nearby held more clues, a scarf with the airline's logo, a torn boarding pass, and a Polaroid of the sisters at a desert lookout, smiling but wary. The map pointed to an abandoned trailer near the canyon's edge. Inside, police found traces of recent habitation, empty water bottles, a cracked radio, and a woman's airline pin. Mary clutched the new photos, her daughter's faces older but unmistakable. The FBI scoured the area, finding faint footprints leading to a nearby town. A store clerk in Gila Bend recalled 2 women buying supplies, one wearing a faded airline scarf. Security footage showed them moving quickly, avoiding cameras. Mary and Daniel watched the grainy video, hearts pounding, Clara's familiar stride, Ellen's nervous glance. The sisters were alive, but why were they running? The investigation took a new turn when a retired pilot, once a friend of the sisters, recalled a strange encounter at the Tucson airport days before their disappearance. He'd overheard an argument between the sisters and a man he didn't know, someone who seemed agitated. The lead pointed to a local mechanic, Robert Vance, with a minor criminal record who'd vanished from Tucson in 1990. Receipts and campsite records placed him near the sisters' last known location. As winter settled over Arizona, the search intensified. Mary recorded a message for the hotline. "Clara, Ellen, Sophie, we love you. You're not in trouble. Please come home." The message aired nationwide, and soon after, an unmarked envelope arrived at the Sullivan home. Inside was a letter in Ellen's handwriting. "We're safe. We love you. We'll come home when it's time." The note was a lifeline, proof the sisters were alive and watching. In a small desert community, Clara, Ellen, and Sophie lived quietly in a rented trailer, supported by a kind elderly woman who'd taken them in years ago. They watched their mother's TV pleas, torn between fear and longing. Clara, the protector, worried about Vance or others who might still be a threat. Ellen dreamed of returning, but feared judgment. Sophie, the youngest, cried at the sight of blue ribbons tied around Flagstaff's trees, a symbol of the town's hope. One spring evening in 2011, the sisters made a decision. They wrote a final letter, entrusting it to their elderly friend, who delivered it to Mary. It spoke of their years in hiding, the fear that had kept them away, and their love for their family. "We're coming home soon," it ended. Mary read it through tears, preparing the house with fresh flowers and the sisters' favorite lemon cookies. Late one night, footsteps echoed on the Sullivan porch. Mary opened the door to find Clara, Ellen, and Sophie standing together, eyes brimming with tears. She pulled them into her arms, the years of pain dissolving in their embrace. No words could capture the relief, the love, the miracle of their return. Daniel joined them, and the family held each other, laughter mixing with sobs. The sisters slowly shared their story. After a frightening encounter in Tucson, they'd been coerced into leaving, eventually escaping into the desert. They'd survived by moving between small towns, working odd jobs, always together, always cautious. The suitcase, buried years ago, was meant as a message, a hope someone would find it and know they'd survived. The Sullivan home became a haven. The sisters rebuilt their lives. Clara took a job at a local cafe, Ellen volunteered at a library, and Sophie taught art to children. The suitcase, now on a shelf in the living room, held their uniforms and photos, a reminder of their resilience. Mary set the table for 4 each night, savoring the sound of her daughter's laughter. The town embraced them quietly, respecting their privacy. Blue ribbons stayed tied to trees, a symbol of hope fulfilled. The sisters' story, once a mystery, became one of survival and love. On the anniversary of their return, Flagstaff held a small gathering, not to pry, but to celebrate. Clara, Ellen, and Sophie stood together, hands clasped, no longer shadows but survivors, home at last.